There's nothing wrong with saying no. No, 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 no. Just say no to narcissists just like you said no to drugs in the DARE program. I've been saying no to drugs since I was 10 years old. So it shouldn't be any problem for me to say no to a narcissist. We should just practice saying no. No, 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 no. What's wrong with it? Saying no is a good thing. If a narcissist has you shocked and appalled, and they have audacity, you can say no up high. No. If they're constantly getting on your nerves, you can say no mid-range. No. If they're getting mean and nasty, you can say no down low. No. No matter how you say no, it's very necessary to say no to a narcissist. Saying no and refusing a narcissist is a sacred act of spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is basically just a battle of the wills. It's a battle of your will against the devil's will. It's a battle of your free will against a controlling spirit. One of the very acts of saying no on a biblical level is practicing resisting. This is the ultimate spiritual battle. Resisting the enemy, as outlined in James chapter 4, verse number 7. Resist the devil, and he will flee. To resist something means to oppose it, to withstand it, to fight against temptation and change. And this is exactly what we have to do with a narcissist. If you've dealt with one, you know full well that they always try to force their viewpoints, their way of thinking, their words, their actions, their deeds. They try to force all of this onto you. They want to change you. And this is indeed a spiritual battle, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but with principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. This is exactly what a narcissist is. They have exalted themselves to a high place. They have placed themselves on a pedestal. And this is a pedestal that we must resist. Matthew chapter 5, verse number 39 tells us to resist evil people. A narcissist is inherently evil, innately evil. This book of Matthew also tells us to turn the other cheek. And that's exactly what we have to do when it comes to a narcissist. Look the other way. James chapter 4, verse number 6 says that God resists the arrogant. Isn't a narcissist quite arrogant? Don't they have a real big old ego? Don't they think that they're all of that and a bag of chips? Don't they tell you this every time they get a chance? They keep telling you how much better they are than you. You have to resist this kind of arrogance. The Bible says, let us not think more highly of ourselves than we ought to. But a narcissist absolutely does. They are way up there on a high horse. You have to resist their spirit of pride and loftiness. Wrestling with the narcissist is spiritual warfare. One is going to try to overtake the other. One is going to try to pin the other one down. One is going to try to restrain the other one. It's a constant fight, a constant battle, a constant spiritual warfare with the demonic spirits of a narcissist. And you have to say no to these spirits. You cannot let them rest, rule, and abide anywhere near you. Another aspect about saying no is declining a request. Lots of times it is necessary to say no to a narcissist request, advances. Particularly when it comes to a Hoover, you have to definitely say no to that. You have to say no to continuing to be chained to a narcissist, continuing to be tied down in a soul tie with them. You must protect your time and your energy from this narcissist. When they give you a request to go on a date, you have to say no. When they try to solicit you physically, you have to just say no. You have to decline any and all requests for any type of contact or closeness with a narcissist. When they ask you for favors, when they ask you for money, you have to decline all of these requests. You have to say no to the devil. Another aspect of saying no is setting boundaries. This is something that is a must when it comes to a narcissist. We have to set clear and concrete boundaries with a narcissist. Narcissists love to bulldozer over boundaries, okay? They don't care anything about how you feel. They want to get their way. Whatever it takes for them to get their way, to get what they want out of you, that's what they try to do. You have to have boundaries in place to protect yourself. 1 Peter 5:8 charges us to stand firm in our faith, and you definitely have to do that with a narcissist. They try to persuade you to do all sorts of things outside of your belief system, and you have to stand within your faith. You have to say no to this devil. Narcissists will all the time try to get you to go against God and try to get you to doubt God. They will try to have you to do things outside of your character for their benefit. They will try to make you forget about what thus said the Lord. Try to steal away your hopes and dreams, take away your faith, and you cannot allow this. You have to stand firm in your faith. If you believe God for a faithful marriage, don't let a narcissist tell you something like all men cheat. You cannot absorb a narcissist's doctrine. You have to stand firm in your own faith, your own truth, and your own knowledge of the Lord. If you believe in something as simple as saving, you feel like that is part of being a good steward over what the Lord has given you. That is part of multiplying your talents, etc. Part of the works of your hands being blessed and all these things. Those are your beliefs. That is your faith. You cannot let a narcissist come along and tell you something like you're wasting time by saving money. There is nothing wrong with working like the ant, storing up your barns. That is what you believe in, and you cannot let a narcissist take that from you. You have to say no to their agenda. Another part of saying no is expressing your disagreement with a narcissist. A lot of times you will have to speak up. For instance, my narcissistic ex-husband had a terrible habit of calling me the B word. And he started calling me that in front of our very young son. The child was 3 and 4 years old at the time, 5 and 6. The child was at that critical learning stage, and he was quite sensitive emotionally. And when he would call me the B word in front of my son, I would profess out loud in front of my son and say, I am not a B word. And I would go off and coach my son afterwards and explain to him that mommy was not this thing. And I had to coach myself as well. I'm not a B word. I had to build myself up after my husband tried to destroy me and tear me down. After a devil tried to tell me otherwise, I had to encourage myself on what thus said the Lord about me. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am the head and not the tail. I am above only and not beneath. You have to disagree with the lies of the enemy. And don't be afraid to make it known by saying no. You cannot come into covenant or agreement with anything that a narcissist says about you. Anything that the devil says to try to rot your bones, break your bones, destroy you, bring weakness to you. You have to disagree with those things and you have to say no. Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world. We cannot be conformed to what the enemy is trying to say about us. One of the ways that we can transform ourselves, we can transform our mind, is by saying no. The last aspect of saying no to a narcissist as an aspect of spiritual warfare is a refusal to accept. You do not have to accept the so-called reality that a narcissist is trying to place in front of you. You don't have to accept their narrative. You don't have to accept their way of doing things. You don't have to accept their plots, plans, and traps against you. You have the power to stand firm against the wiles of the enemy. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Keyword being no. Say no to the narcissist. Operate in no. A narcissist is negative anyway. They're negative overall. There's no problem to say no to them. No man shall not hinder thee, not even a narcissist. No harm shall come near your dwelling, not even a narcissist. You've said no. Sometimes you won't be able to say no to a narcissist just one time. Sometimes you have to hit them with a remix. Either way, you're going to learn to say no to what you do not deserve. You're going to say no in this good fight of faith. You will always have the power to fight back when you say no to the enemy. Resist him and decline him. Disagree with him and refuse him. Just say no. Say no to darkness and all manner of evil. Say no to a narcissist and a nemesis. Say no to the devil and all his minions. Say no to the enemy and do not allow him to hinder you on your way into the marvelous light.